Welcome to This Explainer, where we are going to break down the investment case for a company you've probably never heard of, but one that's absolutely critical for giants like NVIDIA and TSMC. They literally can't build the future of AI without it. Let's get right into it.
You know, AI feels like it's all about software, algorithms, and data. But at the end of the day, it all runs on physical stuff, on hardware. And it turns out there's a huge physical bottleneck that the entire tech world is scrambling to solve. And that race? Well, it leads us straight to our topic for today. So before we can really grasp the opportunity here, we've got to understand the problem. And it's a big one. It's this fundamental physical roadblock that affects every single chip maker on the planet, from Intel all the way to Samsung. For like 50 years, the game was pretty simple. It was all about Moore's law. Just make the transistors smaller, cram more of them onto a chip, and boom, more computing power. But we're hitting a wall, a literal physical wall. We just can't shrink these things down much more. So the entire industry is asking one massive question. How in the world do you power the AI revolution if you can't make the parts any smaller?
Well, the answer isn't about making one single chip smaller. It's about getting way more clever. It's about assembling multiple smaller chips, or chiplets, together into one superprocessor. And this is where a Dutch company called Semiconductor Industries, everyone just calls them Besi, comes into the picture. They build the incredibly precise machines that make this whole new approach possible.
So, what does Besi actually do? Well, they work in what's called the back end of making chips. Think of it like this. If the front end is like baking the cake, creating the actual silicon wafer, Besi provides the machines for the critical final assembly. They're the ones who precisely place the chips, wrap them up for protection, and create all the metal connections. They are quite literally the master assemblers.
And they have a secret weapon, a killer technology that is a total game changer. It's called hybrid bonding. So instead of using old-school tiny wires, this tech lets you stack chiplets right on top of each other and connect them directly, copper to copper. It creates this kind of 3D superchip. This isn't just a small improvement, you guys. This is a fundamental shift in how powerful chips are built. Okay, so if hybrid bonding is the key to unlocking the future of AI, then you have to be asking, just how important is Besi in all this? Well, their position in the market, it's pretty staggering.
75%. Let that sink in. That's Besi's estimated market share for the advanced equipment that makes all this possible. In the most critical, most valuable part of the assembly line, they are the undisputed king of the hill.
And in hybrid bonding itself, the technology that everyone agrees is essential for AI and high-performance computing, Besi isn't just a leader. For all intents and purposes, they're the only game in town. We're talking about a virtual monopoly. That, my friends, is what you call an incredibly deep competitive moat.
Now, this dominant market position has a really powerful ripple effect. For the huge players, we're talking TSMC, Intel, Samsung, Besi's technology isn't just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential to their future plans. They cannot build their next-generation AI chips without it. This makes Besi a strategic partner, not just a vendor, and that creates sky-high switching costs.
So, a dominant market position is great, but does it translate to the bottom line? You bet it does. Even in the famously crazy up-and-down semiconductor industry, Besi has figured out how to turn those cycles into a source of strength.
Okay, check this out, because this is wild. This table compares 2 downturn years in the chip industry. Normally, you'd expect margins to get crushed, right? But look at Besi's gross margin. It didn't just stay flat, it shot up, from under 56% to almost 65%. That is an incredible sign of serious pricing power. And when you put them side by side with the competition, their strength is just crystal clear. Besi's gross margin of nearly 64% absolutely towers over its key peer. A gap that big isn't just a number on a chart. It's proof of a massive technological and market advantage.
So we've got a market leader with incredible profitability. For any investor, this is where you have to pause and ask the really important question. What are the risks here, and are the rewards worth it?
And here's the real tug-of-war for investors. On one side, Besi is absolutely tied to the semiconductor market's notorious boom and bust cycles. Its revenue can be volatile. But on the other side, it's riding this massive multi-year wave of building out AI infrastructure, which is a lot less optional than, say, buying a new smartphone. This powerful AI demand is a secular tailwind that helps smooth out those cyclical bumps. And beyond that core tension, there are a few other risks any potential investor needs to keep on their checklist.
They're heavily reliant on a few huge customers, there's always geopolitical risk around China, and they are under constant pressure to execute perfectly to stay on top technologically.
So with those risks in mind, how does the company actually reward investors for taking the ride? The answer is pretty straightforward. They've got an incredibly aggressive strategy for returning capital. It is all about giving back to shareholders.
95%. That was the company's proposed dividend payout for 2024. Think about that. They plan to return nearly every single dollar of profit directly to shareholders. That's a massive signal of confidence in their business and their future cash flows. And if that massive dividend wasn't enough, they also kicked off another €100 million share buyback program. The message from the management team is impossible to miss. We generate a ton of cash, and we are committed to giving it back to you, the owners of this company.
So here's the bottom line. Besi gives you a dominant, highly profitable, and absolutely critical way to invest in the AI revolution. But that incredible opportunity comes attached to the roller coaster that is the semiconductor industry, and that leaves every potential investor with one final question they have to answer for themselves.